Hi, and welcome to On the Spot. My name is Ronnie Wiley. To my left, I got three fine people. Got Tim Schnelly over there on my left, Ron Stevens, and Cheryl Reno right here. Back somewhere is Smalls. We'll get to maybe get him here a little bit later. But Cheryl, thank you for being on the show. I'll shake your hand since I can't reach Ron and Tim. Maybe we can all. But anyway, you're with Indy with the let's see here, Indy Honor Flight. So tell us all about that.
Well, Indy Honor Flight flies veterans to Washington to see their monuments. It's a day that's all about our veterans.
Yeah.
It's the most wonderful organization you could be part of. We take World War II, Korean, and Vietnam, and they have certain years that they have to be inside of. For World War II, you have to have been in from December 7th of 41 to December 31st of 46. If you're in the Korean era, you need to have been in from June 25th of 1950 to July 27th of 1953. And if you're in Vietnam era, you'll be in from February 28th of 61 to May 7th of 75.
So, you know, I tell you, this is a little side note. I thought the Korean War was 11 years because MASH was on for 11 years. So when I was a kid, I used to, because I loved MASH. Until I went to school, and I was like, "Oh, wait a minute! It's only a short war." So this is just for those wars. None of the Gulf wars. Just
no, not at the present time. It's just for these three wars.
So now, how often do you guys do these flights?
We are doing the flights 4 times a year right now. Mm-hmm. We had one in April. Ron and I are co-captains to fly to Washington with our veterans in May, which is on the 19th and the 20th. We have another one in September, which is the 22nd and 23rd, and we have another one in October, which is the 20th and 21st.
So this is not just a quick flyover and then come back. This is
It's a one-day event. It starts on Friday night when all the veterans come to either Plainfield High School or Decatur High School, depending on the date, and they do a meet and greet, and they get to meet everybody that they're going with, and they get a dinner, and they get their shirts and their lanyards, which is like their plane ticket, and their information's on that ticket for us. And then Saturday morning, we get up extremely early, between 4 and 5. We meet at school, and we head over to the airport, and we fly into Reagan, and then we spend the day in Washington. And I'm going to let Ron talk about that because he's been there, done that.
So Ron, is it a commercial flight or is it a helicopter? I mean, what kind of flight?
It's a chartered commercial flight. Okay, we charter the whole plane because the plane is full of veterans, their guardians, 8 bus captains for 4 buses, the director, his assistant, 4 paramedics, 2 photographers, and a couple other staff members.
So this is from all over Indiana.
This is from the Indianapolis area, but we go as far down south as Greensburg. There are 2 other Indy Honor Flight or
hubs,
Indiana Honor Flight hubs within the state that take care of the northern and the southern area, but we carry pretty much the entire central area.
Yeah.
Once we get there, though, what happens is that we start at the World War II Memorial.
Oh, yeah, that's beautiful.
We do a big panoramic picture of all the veterans at that time. We also make big, gigantic posters of them with their military picture that they'll keep forever. We spend a couple hours there at the World War II Memorial. Then we transition over to the Lincoln Memorial, where the Vietnam Memorial, the Women's Memorial, and the Korean War Memorial are.
Yeah.
The reflecting pool is right there, so they get all of that area for quite some time, and it's a lot to take in.
Oh, sure it is, yeah.
And then from there, we transit over to Arlington National Cemetery, but on that transit, we go by the Pentagon where it was hit, so you get to see that memorial there from the buses. And then we go to Arlington National Cemetery, where they see the changing of the guard at the Tomb of the Unknown. Yeah. Very historic, very kind of a somber event, but it's very ritualized, and the meaning at the tomb and everything. And then once we leave Arlington National Cemetery, we do a bus tour by the Iwo Jima Memorial. Then we also go to the Air Force Memorial, and then we come back home.
Yeah, the Iwo Jima was one of the neatest when you're coming up and you can the way it's set up. You can see the flag, kind of how it's just neat how the optical illusion of when you're coming up the drive, like the flag is
Right.
coming. Yeah, it's so neat. Very, very, very neat. So how long have you been a part of this?
I've been a part of it. I was actually stationed in Washington, D.C. while I was in the Navy back in 2003 to 2006. So what they asked us to do as active duty members was go to the memorials and be there as volunteers, but in uniform. So I've been around the honor flight for a while. We have an honor flight that I was a part of out in California around Fresno as well. And then when I got here, I signed on to be a volunteer. Well, I just done all my volunteer stuff to get signed up, and then a veteran from here locally needed a guardian to go with him, because every veteran has a guardian with them.
Is it another veteran?
It
that's
can
a
be another
guardian,
veteran, or like say your dad was in,
Yeah.
you could go with your dad,
Okay.
or your mom, or whomever, your uncle, what have you. So, but the guardian is there to take care and look after the veteran all day, because it's the Veterans Day.
Right. Yeah.
They're not supposed to carry anything.
Right.
They don't they don't wheel their own wheelchairs. They're the pack rats for the day.
Yeah.
So it's
it
very,
should be.
but it's also,
Should be.
it's a very honoring and a very humbling experience to be asked to be a guardian, because you are looking after
A veteran.
one of our,
Yeah.
you know, as a
Yeah.
veterans, and a lot of
Our
people see
heroes.
them as a national treasures.
Yeah. Cheryl, you said it. The heroes.
Right.
Yeah.
So once, but going as a guardian for him, I was just there for him all day.
Yeah.
And he had lost his first lieutenant in Vietnam. So we wheeled him over to that panel where he was at,
And saw
and
his
he
name.
just sat there. And I just let him sit and talk to him,
Yeah.
because that's all you can do. But they'll answer you. They just answer you in a different way.
Wow.
But he had a great day, and I just recently saw him a couple weeks ago, and his whole world's changed because of it.
Sam,
And that's the best part of it.
Yeah, I can imagine. I can imagine how that makes you feel good to be a part of that,
Yep.
and knowing that you're a veteran as well.
And I'll go eventually one of these days.
Oh yeah. Tim, you any military experience on your?
No. Actually, Cheryl works for me part-time. And, of course, I've been watching her work this honor flight tour for a few weeks now, and very impressive, very well-organized events, and very impressive. So, no, we're just going to be doing a fundraiser for the next honor flight, right, Cheryl?
Mm-hmm.
So that's why Cheryl asked me to come along.
Yeah. So this, I mean, obviously, it takes money to do this, to get the veterans to see their memorials, to see how the country, and not everybody can get to Washington, D.C. And you know, I tell you, when I went to D.C. back in the late 2000s, the zeros, or aughts, or whatever we call them, that World War II memorial, it wasn't there in '85 when it was the first time when I was a kid, but it was there, and it was so neat at night. We saw it at night. Saw it at the daytime, it was kind of, but at night, all lit up. Oh my gosh, it was
beautiful.
Beautiful. It was one of the most beautiful. Yeah, I was really amazed by that. Right there in front of the monument. So Tim, you can't get help. You can't help but get caught up into it.
Exactly. It's like I said, it's very impressive the work that they've done, and she tells me all these stories about the interviews that they do with the vets before they get to go.
Yeah.
And of course, she usually has some tears in her eyes telling me
sure.
most of the stories. So
Yeah.
it's pretty cool.
Yeah. So now we talk about interviews, Cheryl. So what do they have to qualify, or is it just be a veteran? That's it.
Well, they have
What's the
to
interview process?
qualify in the time frame.
Oh, the
that
time
we
frame.
talk
Yes.
about.
Yes. Right. Yeah.
And then we go out just to make sure that they're able to do this. You know, we go over medical backgrounds. We check their, well, actually Ron does for me, checks the DD-214s because I can't read them. And
Is that classified, or is that
No.
why you can't read them, or you just don't
No, it's
understand
just-
them?
no, it's just so confusing.
Oh yeah.
There's a lot of information and a lot of acronyms, and if you don't have
Don't know 'em, yeah,
experience
yeah,
with them, but being
It's
the
a foreign
veteran,
language.
being the veteran service officer,
Yeah.
I do it constantly, and I
It's
did
the
it
second-
while I was in the military too. So
Yeah.
it's secondhand for me.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
So we go through that, and then, you know, we make sure that they're physically able to do it, and there's not a lot that holds us back from taking them. We took a 102-year-old World War II veteran, and he did this flight, and it was amazing.
Yeah, I was getting ready to say that. I mean, because World War II, I mean, they're getting to be, some of them get to be over 100, maybe more.
They're reaching their hundreds, late 90s.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's amazing. So now, what got you involved?
Sherry, that does your other veterans
Oh, yeah,
program.
yeah.
She says, "Come on with me. I got something cool that we do." And so she got me started on it. And I'm telling you, once you volunteer, you're hooked. It's just
Yeah.
you get it. It's the most amazing thing that I volunteer for.
Wow.
I give up anything to volunteer with this.
Wow. So,
It's
do
just
you have
so
any
cool.
veterans in your family?
Yes, my husband's a Vietnam
A
veteran.
Vietnam veteran. Okay, yeah.
My
so-
niece is now a new. Well, she's a Navy officer. She don't count right now. She's not quite.
No,
a
no, she
veteran.
she counts.
She's a
in the
veteran. Yeah,
Navy,
she was.
so-
She's in the Navy, but she's
Yeah.
not retired
Yeah, no.
veteran.
Oh yeah, so she's not
So,
a veteran
but
yet, but she will be. Yeah.
She'll smack me for saying that, but it's okay.
Maybe we can edit that part out. But I told you we're gonna have to edit moments.
And then my dad was a Marine, but
Yeah.
he's not around any longer.
Yeah. Well, my uncle was in Vietnam, and he would just tell generic stories. But if he was around another veteran, they would talk more, but he would never like tell me. The only thing that he would say is that, because for the longest time, and he doesn't do it too much anymore, he would put ice in his milk. I never understood why he would do that, but I guess milk was warm over there. I don't know, but he put ice in his milk. That's what he did a lot. But
They didn't chill it.
yeah, it was that
wasn't
was
cold.
yeah. So he always put ice in his milk. I'm like, okay, it's already cold, but he did, and I thought it was an orphan thing because he came from an orphanage like my mom. So you got involved from volunteering. Now, how long have you been volunteering?
8 years.
Hey, oh wow! So you really like in your
I
blood.
love it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you see. Yeah,
And I'm so excited to be a bus captain and this whole thing, seeing the other side, because usually I work what we call the grounds crew, and seeing and doing this whole other side adds so much more
What does the
meaning
grounds
to it.
crew do?
The grounds crew, they take care of everybody from the time that veteran pulls onto the school property
Yeah.
until that veteran leaves the school property. It's all about the veteran.
Are you hearing this, Tim? Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Tim's like, I'm fundraising, then I'm going to be a grounds crew captain. I'm going on these trips. Yeah.
I'm in training.
Yeah. Now, again, you've only been a couple months now, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And
Very recent.
I can tell you're hooked.
Yes.
Yeah. Wow. So it's that. Yeah.
It's amazing. And what we're going to do at Tim's is on June 3rd, we're going to have a sign up for the veterans. And you don't have to just be Fayette County. We want all the surrounding counties. Wayne County, Rush County, Franklin County,
Union.
Decatur, Union.
Rush.
We want them to come on over and sign up. And not just the veterans, we want them for sure, but
Right.
anyone that wants to work this organization and come see what it's about, come sign up. We'll get your application in. Because there is a waiting list. Right now, we currently have 932 veterans waiting to take this flight.
Wow.
And then if you have a veteran that's not in really good health or anything, get a hold of us sooner, because there's a bunch of different things that go into the scope of where they are on the list.
I was going to say that because obviously the 102-year-old would get probably
First.
than a Vietnam veteran who's in his early 70s. Maybe.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So,
Unless they were very sick.
well, yeah, sure.
You know,
yeah,
then
yeah,
they would,
I guess,
they
yeah.
would move up too. But
Yeah.
yeah, they have a
Yeah.
system to do that because we don't want to miss anybody.
Sure.
Unfortunately, we didn't get to fly 2 years because of the
COVID, yeah.
COVID, but we did 5 flights last year just to get us back down into the hundreds instead of being in the thousands.
How many people go on these at a time?
We have 86 veterans that
Oh,
we
wow,
take and
that's-
86 guardians.
Wow. So it's 80. Wow. Tim, are you wanting to one day be a guardian?
I believe so.
Yeah, guys, that's awesome. So it was no question. Did she say, "Hey, we need a fundraising spot," and you're like, "My spot right here"?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Once she started showing me what everything they're doing, and of course how much the veterans enjoy this day, and of course obviously it's well deserved. It was an easy yes.
Yeah. Wow. That's yeah. So Ron, you veteran yourself.
Correct.
And so it's obviously these are your brothers. These are your
My brothers and sisters.
Yeah, your brothers and sisters. Your heroes, your mentors, and it's got to feel extra special for you to be that guardian for them. But one day you may be on the other side. Have you thought about that?
They just broke ground for the Gulf War Memorial.
Yeah.
So probably within the next 3 years, there'll be a Gulf War Memorial. And just like we take the veterans in order of war as priority.
Yeah.
World War II has priority over Korea, has priority over Vietnam. Well, like just on the bus that Cheryl and I are co-captaining this time, we have all Vietnam vets. But they're just, when we go out and do these interviews, we search for World War II vets, then we search for Korea War vets, but there's just not many that maybe they can't go. They were signed up, but they can't go now, or they've passed away. That's a heart-wrenching thing when you pull up a veteran and then you find out that, oh, they passed away.
Yeah.
So they didn't get an opportunity. But as we go along and do this, there's other honor flight organizations that are already taking Gulf War vets. It's just we're not signed up for that yet through the Indy Honor Flight because we do have so many from the other previous wars.
Yeah.
And yeah, one day I want to go for myself, and my son's going to be my guardian.
Oh wow.
No question, no doubt. But I want to go to my memorial. I've lived in D.C., so I've been to all the memorials.
Oh right, yeah.
So it's kind of nice.
Yeah.
But I want to go and see the memorial that was built for my generation.
Sure. Yeah.
And things like that.
I didn't know they broke ground on
They
the
did. They
Gulf.
broke ground on it last year.
Yeah. Well, now it makes perfect sense why they haven't gone to the Gulf War because there's not a Gulf War memorial yet. Yeah.
Right.
Where were they putting it there by the mall?
It's in the mall. Somebody told me exactly where it was. It's off. It's just off from one of the other memorials. I just don't remember which one, but I know they just added to the Korea War Memorial.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Now the names of all those who died during that war are displayed. You can't do rubs like you can at the Vietnam Wall.
Yeah.
Like where you can get a rub of the
right.
name.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
They don't. The Korea War Memorial is not set up for that. But you can at least see the names.
Yeah.
And one of the cool side story real quick, when me and my veteran were going over by the Korea War Memorial that day, these two young kids came up. They're probably in their early 20s, college age. Yeah. And all of a sudden the girl goes, "That's Grandpa." Because
the picture
that's depicted on the wall is of all these different faces.
Right.
That girl picked out her grandpa on that mural.
Isn't that amazing? Yeah.
And we're like, "Wait, that's really your grandpa?"
Yeah.
They're like, "Yeah, that's our grandpa."
Yeah.
But to be able to sit there and stand there and talk to them and hear that story, I mean, veteran or not, it is. But me as a veteran, I have a very soft spot for Vietnam vets because of what they went through.
Sure. Yeah.
They changed war fighting forever in this country and how we do it. A lot of people don't realize it, but the Gulf War is the exact same.
Yeah. Right.
It's on how we had to deal with things, and we still fight that same way today.
And I think we learned as a nation how, cause I was born in '71, so I don't remember any of that, but how we treat the veterans, that we learn from that we don't treat them like that. They're heroes.
No,
I
they
always
don't
got a
deserve
hero's
that.
welcome when I came
Yeah,
home.
yeah,
The pier was
absolutely,
full of people.
Yeah.
They were always very welcoming. I've even done business with Tim before, and once we got to know each other and stuff, it's always thanked me for what I did, and it does mean a lot. But I turn around and thank them, and people that didn't necessarily serve or didn't have service within their family, but the support that they give us is noteworthy and to be thankful for, from our standpoint as a veteran.
Yeah. I mean, I've always said I used to flap my gums on the radio for a living and got to do that for free. I mean, in the freedom aspect and not be censored. And I mean, I got fired a few times for things I said, but so and that's because of what the veterans offered us to do. So that's the ultimate sacrifice that a lot of them pay for, and a lot of them were there to see their friends, as you mentioned earlier. Tim, I don't know if we mentioned any family members that are veterans.
No, I don't have any immediate family members. I'm sure there's some in our past, but
Right.
no. that's not the connection. Like I said,
Yeah.
I just got mostly the big connection from watching
Cheryl.
Cheryl and
Yeah.
this group put this thing together. It's just
Yeah.
quite impressive.
Yeah. Have you met any of the veterans on the flights yet?
I have not.
Wow. So yeah, that's going to be a big tug on the heartstrings when
Yeah.
you get to do that. Cheryl, now you say the interview process. Do you reach out to any veterans, or do they reach out to you guys? How does that work, or is it a combination of both?
We reach out to them. We have, when we're captains, bus captains, we get into the system. And they start with the highest number first and go down, because it's all by how long they've been in the system, what's wrong with them, if they have a medical problem or that. So they'll start us at, these are the veterans that are on the list first, and you start calling them.
So they're on the list to go already, or
Yes.
or
They've already applied.
They've
So
already
they've already
applied.
applied. So now, how do they hear about it? Are they reached out by other veterans? Say, man, I went on this Indy flight. You probably should do too. Or is it? Do you guys reach out to people and say, hey, here's our organization, here's what we do, or is it a combination of both that way too?
It's a combination of everything.
Yeah. And so you guys need volunteers, you need money to do all this, and you have that at Tim's. What's going on with the fundraiser on the 3rd?
We're going to have the veterans sign up. We're going to have some other organizations that deal with veterans there, so that when they come, they have a multitude of things they can see. But the most important thing for them that day is getting them signed up to put on our list. We have some gifts to give away. We have a couple raffle gifts to give away, and we're going to have lunch. I went out, and some of the companies in town are donating. Napa donated money to do this. State Farm donated money to do this. And there's some others. So if anybody else wants to get involved with this, they can call either Ron or myself, and we'll bring them on board. But we did this a few times in the past, and we've raised some money and signed up some veterans. And I'm just concerned that when we were looking at veterans, we've been from one end of Indiana to the other, depending on where they are. And I feel like this area that we're in, I want to concentrate some more on, because there's a lot of veterans here, and they're like, well, I'm not signed up. I said, well, we're going to sign you up right now.
Signed up? Yeah, taken care of.
And we're going to get that taken care of. So bring your veterans out. If you want to volunteer yourself, come on out. Have some lunch.
And that's June 3rd, what time?
June 3rd, we're going to be there from 10 to 2. Lunch will be from 11 to 1.
So 10 to 2, 11 to 1, get on out there, and Tim's right there, an address, Tim?
2212 North Park Road.
Yeah, you can't miss it, right there.
Right.
Yeah, and right next to Old Roost, and right
Yeah.
there. So again, Tim, you're hooked. Cheryl, you got hooked. Now, who hooked you in? I don't
Sherry.
remember. That's right.
Sherry Kendall.
Maybe we should edit that part out. I forgot. So when you got in and she told you about it, was it the first time where you're like, I don't know if I want to do this?
Oh, no. The first time it was, we got there, you meet these veterans.
And it was instant?
It's instant.
Oh, wow. Wow.
They're
Wow.
awesome.
So you can't wait till he sees the veteran. I mean, he's already hooked. You can imagine him seeing the veterans, and he's already hooked. That's gonna be awesome. We gotta have a camera for that. Ron, when you were in the military and serving the country, did you hear about these flights? When did you first hear about the honor flights?
It wasn't until later on in my career. Like I said, I was stationed in Washington, D.C. at the
Oh,
Pentagon.
so you saw him come in.
So I actually got to see him come in for the very first time, because the World War II memorial had just it was in the works and was getting done. But they've started this, and then I've known about it. I've seen it, heard it. It's all over Facebook. The Indy Honor Flight has a Facebook page,
Yeah.
so you can reach out there. We also have another website that we can get and put up. It's indyhonorflight.org. And then once you get to that web page, you can go on and sign up to be a volunteer. That's how you have to sign up to be a volunteer, is online. But you can sign up as a veteran, you can sign up as a guardian, you can sign up as ground crew or a volunteer for a multitude of jobs, or just be there. in general, and we always need people somewhere to do something. So you can stand around and just be ridiculously happy, as we call it. That's what we are, is ridiculously happy. But like I said, I've been doing it for probably well over 10 years,
Wow.
knowing and being a part of it. But
Yeah.
with the Indy Honor Flight within the last year and a half now, and then Cheryl was a bus captain and asked me, it's like, hey, you want to do this? I don't even think you got all of it out yet. Before I'm like, yep,
I did.
let's go.
Yeah.
And that's just how I am. I'm a retired Navy vet, and I was born and raised here, so I understand
Right.
my grandfather and my great uncle were in World War II. I have a long history of brothers and sisters in the military, so it's just kind of embedded. But you want to give back to your brothers and sisters.
I can just imagine. So, were you looking on the outside, kind of? I wonder what's going on over there. I mean, was that what you were doing, Tim? Kind of. I mean, and you kept getting drawn in and in. Or, I mean,
Well, yeah, Ron coined it with Cheryl being ridiculously happy as she's working on it.
you're like,
It's easy to hear that throughout the day, and it's just
It is. You can't help but smile.
yeah.
so yes, it just makes it easy to want to do something.
Yeah, I can imagine, the joy that these veterans get, because now I'm assuming that this may be their first time seeing this memorial. Yeah, is that a criteria that they would not have
No.
seen it?
No.
Oh, it's not. Okay, so they may have seen it on their own.
The only criteria is that they had to serve one day.
One day.
In
Oh,
those
yeah.
time periods,
Yeah.
and they can go. Some of them were never in country.
Right.
Some of them were in Germany, Korea, in the U.S. They were in the States. They never actually deployed to the actual war zones, but they served during that time.
At that time, yeah.
That's still their memorial.
Well, sure, yeah.
So it definitely makes it a lot better, but that's what we're all about. And then
Yeah.
I'm going to also be there as the veteran service officer and as part of the Indy Honor Flight.
Yeah.
So I can get as many veterans from the county signed up through my office. So for benefits,
And where's your office at?
my office is at 111 West 4th Street. It's in the Fayette County Government Center, which is right next to the courthouse.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
right there on the first floor.
Yeah.
Same building probation and
Oh, yeah,
emergency
right,
management
sure,
are in. But I deal with city, county, state, and federal benefits for all veterans. Doesn't matter what service.
Okay.
So, but I'm going to be there too as part of it, and then being part of the honor flight. There's no better way to combine and get our veterans out, get them something that they can see and touch. Some of them have a hard time; they don't want to go.
Right.
But some of them that finally decide to make that commitment and go, it's life changing
Yeah.
for you and the family too.
Yeah, nobody ever
Yeah.
regrets it. Yeah,
Yeah.
sure. Got about a minute and a half to go.
Can I say something?
Absolutely, please.
First off, I want to say thank you to every veteran out there. You pull on my heartstrings. I wouldn't be what I am today without you. I'd like to say thank you to Tim for letting us have the event here. And I'd like to say thank you to Ron, who's a fantastic veteran service officer. And he's been great to work with, and I can't wait to do this again. So please come out on June 3rd and help us support your veterans and get our veterans signed up to do something that not only changes their life, but it changes ours.
I think she said it best. We'll end on that, and we'll catch you next month on The Spot.